by Councilmember Rubio to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. There is no unfinished business, and Madam Deputy Clerk, would you please read under new business?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's Resolution Serial Number 2628, approving a contract between the City of Wasilla and HDL Engineering Consultants, LLC, for $333,463 in consideration for wastewater, master planning, and related engineering service.
Is there a motion to recommend for public hearing ordinance serial number 26-07?
2628 is the one I moved, not 2607.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I looked at the wrong one. 2628, my mistake.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve resolution 2628.
Is there a second?
Model seconds.
It has been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to approve resolution serial number 26-28 for public hearing. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, just to clarify, this isn't for public hearing. This is a resolution to approve. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not for public hearing. Thank you. If I could, probably to Eric is going to answer this question for me. I had put some money in our budget here last cycle to get our master plan going, and so I'm super excited to see this coming to fruition here. Could you give me some background, a little bit better explanation as to how we came together with putting all three of these tasks together and what the future tasks might look like as well?
Yeah, thank you for that question through the mayor. So the RFP went out to the engineering world to provide proposals for three tasks. The first one is the GIS mapping and building a system of our assets so we can quantify what we have for sewer systems, sewer tanks. The second task is the master planning task, which is funded through the CIP process that you're mentioning. And then the third task is supportive engineering. So task 3 is to take the projects that we know about already and the future projects and get them out on the street for construction.
If I could follow up, Madam Mayor. So from what I understand, task 1 is kind of needed to be able to kick off task 2.
Yes, that's correct.
And then task 3.1, and I assume you call it 3.1 because the plan is probably to have some future amendments like you stated in here.
Correct.
Where they're going to have essentially, okay, these are the follow-up steps here. Is there anything in task 3 that's going to prevent task 2 from being done?
Are there any projects that would stop the master planning?
Correct.
No. So we have a backlog of projects. Some of the funding requests in this is to get going on those more complicated septic tank replacements. So you see funding for tasks 1 and 2, which is the mapping and the master plan, and then some monies to go right into designing of the replacements that we know we need to get done. So we're gonna have processes on all three tasks at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. We will now move directly onto communications. Madam Deputy Clerk, please read the items.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have IM 26-07 monthly financial reports for the period ending January 31st, 2026, and the Planning Commission meeting minutes for March 24th, 2026.
We are now at audience comments. It's 3 minutes per person, which is a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. Seeing no one, I will close audience comments and bring it back to the dais. Madam Deputy Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We will see you at the next meeting, which is on May 11th.
Okay. Madam Attorney.
No comment, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Cottle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to make a quick comment that it attended on the 17th, Matsu Commercial Forum, and our deputy administrator did a great job doing an update for the city and talking about our airport and, you know, all the good things going on. And at the State of the City presentation at Chamber on the 21st, kudos to our directors. Y'all did a great job presenting information and updates and things going on in your departments. And it's always great to hear all the good things going on in the city. And it's always great to see our directors out there helping promote it too. And so I just want to let you know, I thought y'all did a great job. That's it.
Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, directors, for being here today. I have a couple of things today that I would like to bring forward as will of the council resolutions. Number one deals with our Wasilla City Cleanup Week, which is coming up. Typically, Wasilla City Cleanup Week, we put a large dumpster at Idetta Park, and then on that Saturday, that dumpster is attended and people can come by and put things in the dumpster, or excuse me, not put things in the dumpster, can put bags in the dumpster of trash that they have collected in their neighborhoods or along the roadways. And then they get a little coupon and get it entered into a drawing for a some sort of gift or prize. I'm not, do you run that, Scott, or I'm not sure who does that. Okay. So Scott does that, and that's been successful for many years. However, this year we had two very substantial winter windstorms, which have generated an inordinate amount of trash here in the city. So I would ask that the council bring forward a will of the council resolution asking the administration through Public Works to use a contractor to travel the city streets and pick up trash bags which are left on the curb on the Monday following the cleanup weekend. This would create an additional expense to the city. However, I think with the amount of trash that's generated and the need to clean things up, I think this would be good. It's fairly common in other cities to do this, including just down the road in Palmer. I mean, they do that. So this is not something that's really unusual, and I think it's covered under the equipment and operator contract. So that we could do this without changing the budget. It's just kind of how that works. So at this point, Madam Deputy Clerk, is it appropriate for me to move for a will of the council? Or how do we do that?
I would suggest directing the clerk's office to draft a resolution to use a contractor to pick up the trash on city streets and
Okay.
have it on the next agenda.
Next agenda is too late.
Well, it's outside of the scope of what we noticed. Holly.
Yeah, and this is an
The
interesting one
the-
too. I mean, it's basically it's council asking for a contract for services that are traditionally administrative, you know, and sometimes with a certain amount, then obviously the administration comes to council and asks for approval of that amount to go forward with action. On another note, we adopt ordinances that create responsibilities, but this one seems to fall outside of that if we're doing a resolution. So I'm struggling with that. It seems more of a administrative task where council doesn't direct, say, waste management by the administration outside of the code and codified procedures.
And
So
will of
I'm
the
just
council,
trying-
a will of the council would not direct the administration to do anything. It would ask the administration to do something,
Okay, that's,
which is different.
okay. that
It's
is
still the
different, yes.
administration's decision on whether to do that or not. It was just the council saying this is something we would like to see.
So like a recommendation to,
Yes, ma'am,
okay, I
that's
didn't
correct.
understand that.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry about that.
So then I guess it's just a matter of timing. You would have to decide if you want a special meeting to, or you can simply council can express its thoughts and the administration can choose to, that happens often, but not generally during comment section. So just trying to navigate. I mean, I think what maybe
In
the
the
best
past, I've done it
way.
in the comment section.
And could it simply be that the administration has heard the comments and they can choose to bring the resolution? I mean, I think that happens a lot. Council members express a viewpoint. If other council members don't want to pass that resolution, then, you know, they can choose to not vote for it when it comes up. It's probably the easiest approach.
Right, so and that's what I'm asking, how do we do this? I mean, obviously, Councilperson Cottle has had an opportunity to speak, and didn't speak to this because I didn't talk to her about it, but didn't speak to this, so short of a vote, I mean, how do we know what people want to do? And the second question would be, is Madam Mayor, do you want us to ask you to do that, or do you want to?
You could just,
Councilman Graham, it will, if you'll let me speak, we'll take care of this. Director Shaw, do you have the money in the budget to do this?
Yeah, I think that we have the contract required. We have an open PO, and I think that we could afford to have our contractor drive around for a day and pick up trash bags. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Graham, we will take care of this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the will of the council is met. The second thing would be, once again, will of the council to ask to put out to bid, or whatever the appropriate method is, to get the caboose removed from Nunley Park, so that come springtime, which I think is what, July now? But but so come springtime, we start to see what we can do with that park. So once again, I would ask the administration to consider that, because right now it's an eyesore, and I think some people consider it to be a hazard. So
Mr. Graham, duly noted.
thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. And the last thing, I have an ask of the community, and the ask of the community is to participate with many of us in the DEA Drug Take Back Day this Saturday. So this Saturday at in the parking lot, the front parking lot of the Wasilla Fred Meyers, you can take unused prescription and non-prescription medication, and pretty much anything questionable that could be ingested or injected, and just turn it in, no questions asked. There will be law enforcement will be there to protect the drop-off point. They're not taking pictures of you. They don't care what you put in there. They're just there to help get this stuff out of your medicine chest, out of your little plastic boxes that you keep under the bed or whatever, because someday, you know, you're going to need that medication. But this is the opportunity to get rid of that. And I would remind you that 85%, statistics show that 85% of teens' first exposure to illegal drug use or illicit drug use is through a home medicine cabinet, be it their home, be it their extended family home, or be it the home of a friend. So please look through your medicine cabinets, take a look at what you've got, where you no longer need that prescription, and get rid of it. You know, and in today's world, you know, with telemedicine and all that stuff, you know, if there's a medication you need, you can easily get that within 24 hours to solve whatever ailment that it is that you're looking on. So please take your unused prescription medications, unwanted prescription medications, and even non-prescription medications this Saturday, both here in Wasilla and in Palmer, and get rid of those unused drugs at DEA Drug Take Back Day on Saturday. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Rubio.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Back to what Kathy had said, the state of the city, I think Wasilla was showcased beautifully. The teamwork between the directors, the mayor, and then I did speak on behalf of the council, and I think it was just amazing. I think it went well. Other than that, I think everybody needs to get up and get out and clean up trash in your neighborhood and our city, because it affects all of us. So I will be doing that with my kids too, and all my friends. So that means all of us, just so you know. Anyways, that is it, I think.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Thank you, everybody, and that was a great presentation for the WASI over there. I appreciate you, the enthusiasm you've given us, and each time you come out. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And our thoughts and our prayers are with Jamie. So,
Councilmember Crafton.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, just first, Mr. Graham, I think drug take back was this past Saturday. I was trying to find the email, but I thought it was April 25th. Today's the 27th.
I believe the flyer I got said it was this Friday, but I did not bring, or this Saturday, but I didn't bring it with me. But I'll get that word to the clerk's office and to the dispatch to make sure that
Thank you.
any misinformation.
I just couldn't remember. And I was trying, I swear I saw an email. I had an email here from it. So I was trying to find it while we were talking there. A couple questions, if I could, probably here to Eric. First one was, we've had quite an interesting breakup year. I know my street has seen some flooding. I know some other parts of the city, and I mean, really the entire valley. What have we been able to kind of catalog and figure out what our plan of action is and kind of what the council might be expecting? Could you give me a little bit of a summary? I know it's probably a little bit more in depth, but could you give me a highlight? That'd be great.
Yeah, thank you for that question through the mayor. So, with that extra deep frost, water has collected in even more unusual places. So our roads crew has been pretty busy moving water as best they can, especially in your neighborhood, Mr. Crafton. It did test the current alignment with culverts. We found a few neighbors that may have extended their driveways a little bit more than we didn't know about. So it created some flooding. What that's done is brought us back to the knowledge of some of the drainage easements that exist in the neighborhood. So we're looking at possibility of improving those, maybe getting in there with some contractors and utilizing them better. They exist on paper, but some of them weren't built. The other things that we're seeing, especially in your area, is that the development outside city limits on the borough side seems to be causing some issues as water can't get out of the neighborhood quite fast enough. So we've been going over there and looking at that. We've gotten a lot of calls from outside city limits with people having the same problems. So it's definitely a borough-wide problem, like you mentioned. And then we've also been focusing on some of our other problem areas, trying to be as proactive as possible. So those still rise to the top of future drainage projects as we can come up with a plan that will work. And we don't want to have a half-completed plan that doesn't actually solve those problems. So we're putting our heads together as we try to identify the drainage paths they really need. Because what we run into is most of the year, infiltration basins work until they're frozen, and then they don't work. So we really need to come up with a secondary system where we know where it will overflow to a reasonable spot, and we don't flood the neighbor downstream without being thoughtful about it. So we're out collecting data right now. We've been looking at some of the projects we did, especially with like the softball fields last year. We've been really happy with how that's been draining, but they were impacted still with how deep the frost was. So they still had some localized flooding. And so that's bringing us back to those secondary flow paths that we need to make sure that we have designed properly.
Awesome. It's an interesting year when we don't have a lot of snow, but as cold as it was, it allows if the snow didn't insulate the ground like it usually does to prevent the frost penetration from happening so deep. So
yeah, I'm following one of the road sensors that the state has at Parks and Church, and it still shows completely frozen down to more than 6 feet. So the top 36 inches are thawing, but the ice is far deeper than just 6 feet. So I'm waiting to see it come back up, and I'll do some numbers and run some interpolations, and we'll see what we can piece together from that data. But I'd love to work with some sensor outfits and see if we can get a sensor array that gives us the information we need on our sewer and water system, because it was at least 12 feet this year. And so it'd be nice to be able to know more than the DOT needs to know for their road structures.
awesome. And then second question might go to Crystal, our deputy administrator. I had emailed and I texted Crystal a little bit. DOT had put out a request for grant submissions. for basically road projects that have to do with road safety and basically traffic violations, that type of stuff. And so I just wanted to make sure that we were going to be submitting to that, because I feel like they put that out there and they basically said, hey, City of Wasilla, this is for you. It's based on what they had requested, based on what they were requesting.
Deferring to me. So we have had a meeting with the DOT about the highway safety funds.
Mhm.
I need to put those two together to make sure it's not a separate funding source, but I don't think we talked about this, but they take all of the data that the police department and the troopers collect, and they run it through algorithms and sort road segments by safety issues. And Cruzy actually came up as the #1 project in the valley. And so that was interesting to hear. And the reason it came up so high was Cruzy's not very long. It has a lot of traffic, and there's been 2 pedestrian accidents, and I think there may have been actually a fatality, but they do a better job of quantifying injury accidents and costly vehicle accidents. And so they have pointed to Cruzy needing more pedestrian safety considerations. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the Safe Streets for All grant that you'll be seeing through the budgeting request process. But there's upgrades that are needed on both sides for pedestrians, and then Cruzy crossing safety needs to be addressed too. So I'll find your email and run it by the program I've already seen and just see if it is a new opportunity or if it's the same one that the state presented to us on.
I know Crystal has the direct information I'd sent her, and I think I'd emailed it to the clerks and had the clerk send it off to the mayor. So, but just double checking, because the deadline was the end of this month.
Okay.
So I
Thanks for
mostly
heads
wanted to make sure. And then last, mostly a comment, Scott, if we've got our parks passports ready, I definitely need some. And if you don't know about the Parks Passport program, it's a great opportunity to get your kids out into our parks and in your community. So definitely make sure you get one. And I definitely need a few hundred of them. Thank you. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the feedback on the state of the city. We got a report from the chamber, when we did the little interactive thing. And according to all of that, the report was the city is moving in the right direction. The #1 thing that they worry about is infrastructure. And as you all know, when you look at the budget, that's exactly what we are doing. The reason we go and try to get as much money as we can for airport water and wastewater. Nothing was said about our police department not doing what they should be doing, because they are. So to my directors, and I say this a lot, you know what? This city's not about me. This city is about you guys and your job, because without you, it don't run. And you all make me look good, and I sure appreciate that. And I appreciate working with the council till we can keep this city moving forward, because we are the shining star of the state. So with that, we are now at executive session. I would like to excuse our staff except for the Public Works Director, Acting Finance Director, and our Human Resource Manager. Madam Deputy Clerk, please read the title of the executive session item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is union contract negotiations, specifically the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Wasilla and the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 302.
Okay, is there a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Ms. Rubio,
I move to enter into executive session for matters the immediate public knowledge of which would clearly have an adverse effect upon the finances of the city, specifically to discuss the collective bargaining agreement with Local 302. Those present in the executive session will be the entire council, the mayor, the deputy clerk, the human resource manager, the city attorney, and the acting finance director.
okay, is there a second?
Graham seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Rubio and seconded by Councilmember Graham to enter into executive session. Is there an objection to the motion? Hearing none, we will enter executive session in the council conference room. The time is 6:40 PM.
Only six.
executive session.
Madam Mayor, I move that we exit executive session.
Is there a second?
Couple seconds.
It has been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to exit executive session. The time is 6:56. And with no further business at hand, I am adjourning this meeting unless an objection is raised.